Out Hebrews chapter number 9. Hebrews chapter number 9. Where is my Bible notes? Here it is. Hebrews chapter 9 verse 27. And that is it appointed unto man once to die, but after this the judgment. And I want to preach on a thought called No Guarantees.
No guarantees.
No guarantees. No guarantees for the saved, no guarantees for the lost. You are going to die.
Amen.
All right? You're going to die.
Right.
Whether you're saved, whether you're lost, you're going to die. I remember a story one of my friends told me, and he was a lost man. He said they tried to bring this man and they shocked him 3 times. They declared him dead. An hour later, he stood up and said, "I'm in hell, I'm in hell, I'm in hell." And then he laid back down. And they immediately went over and tried to resuscitate him.
Hebrews 5.
He never could.
9? Oh, sorry. Hebrews 9. Sorry.
I got another one. Hebrews 9:27.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hebrews 9:27. I got another one. Young man, a man was in the hospital. He had a heart attack. So they shocked him. When he came to life, he said, "I'm in hell. I'm in hell." Died. Shocked him again. He said, "Doc, you got to help me. I'm in hell." Now, this is a lost doctor talking. Matter of fact, in the book that I read, said that he was even a drunk at the time. And so he said, "Well, repeat after me." He said, "I got to get this guy some help." He said, "You got to help this guy. I mean, this guy, you know, you got to say something to comfort him. I mean, something." And so he said, "Repeat after me. If I live," he said, "or if I die, I want to be in Jesus' hands. If I live, I'm going to give my life to Christ. And Lord, would you forgive me of my sins?" And he started repeating it. This man on the table, he started repeating that prayer that this lost doctor, all right, drunk doctor, said. So he started repeating, "Lord Jesus," he said, "would you please save me?" He said, would you know, if I die, would you please take me to heaven? And if I live, I want to live my life, the rest of my life, just for you. Would you please help me?" He lived. The doctor showed up the next day. He said, "What kind of drugs were you on?" Because we did all kinds of blood tests. And we did all kinds of, trying to figure out what was going on. He said, "Were you hallucinating or having visions?" He said, "You said you were on fire. You said you were in hell." He said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He said, "I saw my family. I saw this beautiful land." He said, "I saw the most beautiful place that I've ever seen." He said, "Come on, were you drunk? Tell me, all right? I want to know. I mean, you know, you were sounding desperate." He said, "I'm at peace. I got perfect peace." And he lived after having a heart attack. There's a book you can rent. You can get it at the library, Houston Library, Harris County Library, wherever you live. Public library. It's called Last Testimonies of Saints and Sinners. Last Testimony of Saints and Sinners. it will tell you the story of their last testimonies. Back in the old days, people would write down the words of whatever somebody was dying. They didn't have morphine like they do today. Today, they got morphine, and so you just kind of dwell off and sleep your way into hell. Others in that book had stories of seeing angels, seeing their families come to take them home. Beautiful. At our old church, a very dedicated lady, Christian lady, backed up her car. They didn't have the reverse thing to see to make sure it's all clear. That's why they made them. They put a camera there so that you can see that there's no children there. And she ran over a child. And the brother saw it. He was an older brother. He was about 9. And she said, the parents said, your brother's gone to heaven. He said, I know. I saw the angels pick him up, and he was waving at me when he left. And I saw him, and I was waving back, and he was smiling, I was smiling. That's a true story. I'm talking, there really is a heaven.
Amen.
But there really is a hell.
Yeah.
Amen.
They're both. No guarantees.
Right. Amen.
You're going to die. No guarantee. All right? It's going to happen to saints and sinners. Where you choose, now that's up to you. All right? But you're going to die. It's just a question of time. If the Lord don't come back, you're going to die.
Amen.
All right? And accidents happen all the time. I was telling my daughter, she saw a little girl wasn't seat belted. I said in the old days, we'd put the kids in the back, and they would sit in the back glass, and they would lay down and go to sleep, and we'd make them go to sleep, and we would drive all over the city. Do you remember ever getting put behind there and laying down?
Yes.
No safety belts. Well, of course, it's a third of the traffic, or during that time, 25% of the traffic that is now, maybe 30% at that time when we were growing up. It ain't like that no more. All right, it's just not like. So accidents do happen. Happens to saints. It happens to sinners. No guarantee that you're not going to have an accident. Now, for a sinner, he might wind up in a nursing home. Remember, saints and sinners, no guarantees. You might wind up in an accident. You might wind up in a nursing home. They may cut off some part of your body. I had one friend, a motorcycle accident. They had to cut off his leg. He was in a coma, came back. He was a saint. You could wind up in a wheelchair.
Right.
I've seen it. I've seen all kinds of accidents and all kinds of things that it can do. I used to preach in nursing homes, and there'd be young people there. I mean, young people. The difference is the sinner has to deal with it himself. So he has to have positive thinking, positive mind, or if not, he's going to get bitter, angry, blame God, blame somebody, blame his friend for driving. You got to play the blame game. I mean, if you're going to do it right. Play the blame game. I mean, if an accident happens, play the blame game. Or be bitter. Now, for a Christian, on the other hand, 2 Corinthians, chapter number 12, verse 8. 2 Corinthians 12, verse 8. For this thing I besought the Lord, this is Paul talking, thrice, 3 times. He had a thorn in his side, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient unto thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure. Do what?
Pleasure.
I take pleasure in infirmities and reproaches and necessities and persecution and distress for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. What's the difference? If you get in an accident, well, if you're a sinner, you better have positive thinking, or you're going to get better. You better play the blame game. It was somebody else's fault. For the Christian, he has grace. He has grace. Notice also, he's glad. I am glad. Most gladly, therefore, I will glory in my infirmity. He's glad. This guy's glad. He's got a smile. He said, I prayed 3 times, Lord, heal me. Ain't doing it. They say he had cataracts. That was what he was talking about. 3 times, couldn't see. So somebody had to walk him. You ever been walked? Somebody has to hold you, and you ever led a? We have a blind camp in Porter once a year, and they have volunteers come in there,